Stop!
Daenerys begins season 6 lost. She's been traveling for a huge amount of time. There's only so much energy she has left. She has no idea what's waiting for her. They could decide to just kill her at any point, and she's trying to muster up a plan. She's trying to kind of get her bearings and keep quiet, because she knows that her best weapon is to simply glean as much information as possible.
Having Daenerys being brought to me when he first sees her, and I think that's pure lust.
Her choice to confront Khal Morrow is much more of a desperate times situation. Daenerys has given him some talk back, not necessarily to change his mind entirely, but to just show him what she's made of. And he's intrigued by this white-haired witch.
I think he's a man of honor and of tradition, and he soon finds out that she's Doshkalin. She actually uses it to her advantage.
So a Khal chooses to marry a Khaleesi. If the Khal dies, that Khaleesi then becomes part of the Doshkalin, which are kind of the old crones, and they just sit out their days, being respected and revered by the Dothraki as a people, but ultimately the Doshkalin are like nuns. Khal Morrow spares my life, but I'm placed into the Doshkalin, never to be seen of again.
Goat?
Ram.
Do you think our friend got him?
Don't know anything else that can melt a ram's horn.
We're on the right path then.
Well, I had such fun tracking down Daenerys, crossing this barren landscape on 2 horses, and just feels like we're in a western.
Maybe she's flown somewhere else, somewhere far away from men like us.
I've been all over the world. There's no escaping men like us.
There's a very strong and healthy rivalry between these two characters, Jorah and Daario.
There's no escaping her, eh? Keep coming back. Why?
You know why? We both vie for Daenerys' love. He digs away at Jorah and the fact that he secured her, you know, physically.
Isn't it frustrating? Wanting someone who doesn't want you back.
Of course it is.
We are hopefully going to find Dany. I want to make sure that Jorah does understand his position. She's my lover.
You're a romantic. I admire that. Sometimes I look at you and I think, so that's what I'll be like when I grow old.
It's quite a complex relationship, but we both share the same goal, which is her survival.
I want to see what the world looks like when she's done conquering it.
So do I.
I know I should have come sooner. I should have executed all of them. I should have pulled down the sept onto the High Sparrow's head before I let them do that to you. As you would have for me.
Obviously, she's pretty angry about the High Sparrow. I think there's that. I think the fact that, of course, the walk of shame that happened to her, she never thought anything like that would ever befall her, and that she could always be on top.
Cersei suddenly is almost a shadow of her former self. I mean, there's nothing worse than when people you love are in pain and hurting.
And so I think we sort of meet a slightly broken Cersei, and she has a strange forgiveness for him very early on this season.
I didn't want to lose you again.
I understand.
Tommen is extremely vulnerable, and on top of everything else, you know, the world has changed. The pressure is intense.
She just feels, out of control, which for her is the worst feeling.
You raised me to be strong. And I wasn't, but I want to be. Help me. Always.
She needs to believe something in all this, but it's a grasp at kind of holding on to a bit of sanity for her, I think.
What's your name?
For Jaqen, I think he does take a special interest in Arya, but to him it doesn't really matter who you were in real life. As soon as you enter the House of Black and White, you're under the system of the Faceless Man. So it's just another test to see how she will deal with this.
What's your name?
No one.
I don't believe that.
He blinded her in the first place, so it's part of the game. But he thinks he's taught her a lesson, and he wants to give her another chance, and she has to go through all the tests to become the perfect Faceless Man.
Who are you?
No one.
If a girl says her name, the man will give her eyes back.
A girl has no name.
He's glad to see that the training's working and that she overcomes certain things that were problems at the beginning of the training. So she wouldn't give up her name or her personality, and she didn't quite understand what he wanted of her at first. And so this is going better and better now.
Leave it. A girl is not a beggar anymore.
What should we do while we wait? To pass the time, what should we do? What should we talk about?
It's incredibly awkward. Tyrion is known for his ability to talk and to converse and be charming, and he's faced with two people who are just there to do a job and don't really speak unless spoken to.
You two, you spend a great deal of time together. What would you be talking about if I weren't here?
Patrol. Tyrion is very different to, I think, anything that Grey Worm's really experienced. His understanding of, like, Lannisters and Starks is a bit of a head fuck for him.
A wise man once said, the true history of the world is a history of great conversations in elegant rooms.
Who said this?
Me. Just now.
She's not impressed with Tyrion at all. She thinks he's a drunk. She's just very unapproving.
I mean, Grey Worm is a hard nut to crack, but Missandei's a bit easier. I did save her life at the end of season 5, so I have that advantage.
He's a foreigner, and I think, because of his background, I guess, there's a little bit of distrust.
This show deals a lot with outsiders, so whether they are for him or against him, he has good intentions.
So we will fight the masters?
Possibly.
Possibly.
It's a conversation.
Loras. You need to stay strong.
I can't stay strong.
Loras is in a very bad place. He's been in solitary confinement for a long time. He's kind of taken this downward spiral, and he's definitely a changed man.
You are the future of our house, the future of our family.
I don't care about that.
Obviously, we've seen other characters on Thrones go through similar experiences, and I think Finn does a fantastic job of breaking down one of the best knights in Westeros into a man that has been systematically tortured mentally and physically.
They want me to help tear you down. That's why he's letting me see you. I know it is.
Loras has been underneath the Sparrow's command for quite some time now, and he just wants to do anything he can to get out of that cell and to stop being tortured.
If either of us give in to what they want, then they win.
Shit, win. Just make it stop.
I don't think Marjorie feels responsible for Loras being in prison. I think she feels a sense of responsibility to get him out. But what good is being queen if she can't get herself out of incarceration and her brother out of incarceration?
For Daenerys, for my character, it was just one of those like, not since season 1 have we had an opportunity to do something like this.
Yerlaz vochoki dotrakor. Yernesivin.
Vos ochiokak dotrakaevo sechi.
The idea of what she does in Vase Dothrak, it's something she's been thinking of the entirety of season 6. But it's only when she sees Jorah and Dario that she knows that she can actually go through this, because there will be someone at the other side.
We will never get out of Vase Dothrak alive.
All we can do is try.
We can do more than that. And you're going to help me.
So her plan is for Jorah and myself to take down the guards and wait for the big meeting between her and the leading Khals, which I don't completely have faith in, you know. I've never seen her walk out of fire.
She has a beautiful speech telling them everything that she believes in, and then she calmly, coolly knocks over the fires and sets them all alight. Each time she pushes over a new pyre, she gets more confidence.
For Jorah, the sequence mirrors the first time that she steps into the pyre that Khal Drogo was burned on. And of course, he starts to understand that she's going to survive the fire. The Dothraki, once again, that witness it, just fall on their knees and see this extraordinary goddess.
Seeing her walk out of the burning temple, it blows him away.
The rebirth of walking through the fire again, as a way of like proving not only to those around her that she is exactly who she says she is and they deserve to bow down towards her, but also for herself. And I think that proof of knowing that she doesn't need the dragons to be the leader and the warrior that she is exactly what makes her the kind of character who could sit on the Iron Throne.
I banished you. Twice. You came back. Twice. And you saved my life.
Jorah, he knows that grayscale is fatal, and it's just going to get worse.
And so the moment in the series where she was probably most likely to touch me, I have to retreat.
Daenerys doesn't know what she's going to do with him and the conversation that's going to be had. But then before they can get anywhere, he shows her that. And I think that cuts to the core of the matter, which is that she loves him. And she does need him.
Is there a cure?
I don't know.
How long does it take?
I don't know that either. I've seen what happens when it goes far enough. I'll end things before that. Jorah being Jorah is keeping it to himself and sacrificing himself in a sense for her, but he's not seeking a cure for himself because his primary motive is to try and save her.
She knows that he's doing the best for her by walking away. But then she kind of one-ups him by saying,
You swore to obey my commands for the rest of your life. Well, I command you to heal yourself, and then return to me.
In that moment, he knows that she's given him the biggest gift that she could ever give him, which is to have a purpose, and that purpose is to serve her still.
That's going to motivate him whether he finds it or not, but she's wise enough and loving enough to know that that's what Jorah needs to move forward.
When I got the script for season 6, although I had the call, I knew what was going to happen to Hodor. It was a really difficult scene to read because he's a lovable character. I love Hodor. I love him to death. Especially, I had sort of illusions that Hodor was going to become some sort of king, or but I like that he sacrificed himself for his friends. It feels very true to Hodor for me.
Oh, it's mortifying. It's so sad. He's one of the only characters in Game of Thrones who genuinely doesn't have an agenda of any kind. I mean, at all. He's just Hodor. So to have him then killed is just the ultimate sort of twisting of the knife. And it really is these good, kind characters who deserve nothing like that and who have been through a horrible time themselves, because Hodor was just, as we know, a totally normal kid who was then sort of screwed over by Bran.
I'm just thankful I got so far with so many people dying every year. I think I did quite well to get to season 6. Hodor.
Sorry to interrupt. We're here for Queen Marjorie and Dolores Tyrell. Give them to us and we'll be on our way. I speak for King Tommen of House Baratheon, first of his name.
The gods don't recognize his authority in this matter.
You've already insulted one great house. It won't happen twice.
Jaime has this scene with the High Sparrow where he's trying to use whatever means he's used to using. And here's a guy who's like, I don't care about your money, I don't care about your power, actually I despise you for it. And that's infuriating.
Every last sparrow will die before Marjorie Tyrell walks down that street.
Jaime has an arrogance about him. And he's used to, people listening to him and getting what he wants.
To die in the service of the gods would please each and every one of us. We yearn for it.
He's a religious fanatic, and for Jaime it's very difficult to deal with because it's basically talking two different languages.
Queen Marjorie has already atoned for her sins by bringing another into the true light of the Seven. He knows if he gets the king on his side and in his thrall, as it were, then he can extend the power of the faith. And Tommen is quite susceptible to being used. He's quite gullible, and he believes what High Sparrow says.
The crown and the faith are the twin pillars upon which the world rests. Together, we will restore the Seven Kingdoms to glory.
He would love to kill the High Sparrow for what he's done, but he can't put his son at risk. He knows how much tension there is in the city and how vulnerable Tommen is and how vulnerable his sister is. It's a horrible situation, and he's just outplayed by the High Sparrow.
What did you tell your family about me?
I told them I met you in the north.
Did you tell them how far north?
Well, it wasn't a very large piece of parchment.
The most exciting part of the season for me is definitely meeting the family, because they're featured so much in Sam's psyche, and everything that Sam said, everything Sam's thought, everything Sam's acted upon is justified when you see the chemistry between those 5 people.
This is Gilly.
You are lovely.
Going to Hornhill is really interesting for her. She's sort of like a character in a fairy tale. It's the most beautiful place she's ever been to in her life, and it's beyond anything she could even imagine.
You wanting a bath after all that travel? Oh, and a dress for dinner.
Sam arrived with absolutely no shred of self-esteem or self-belief at all, because he had a very warmongering father who was very, very keen on physical prowess and very military-minded, and Sam was always very bookish, of course.
Managed to stay soft and fat. Your nose buried in books.
It's very upsetting for Gilly to see Sam mistreated by his father.
In that moment, you can almost see all of the progress that Sam's made being undone.
Spending your life reading about the achievements of better men. I'll wager you still can't sit a horse.
She's really hoping he's going to stand up for himself. But when she sees that he doesn't, she just decides she's had enough.
He risked his own life to save mine more than once. He's a greater warrior than either of you will ever be.
Randall really thinks he's sort of terrifying, but my father was 1,000 times scarier, and White Walkers are 1,000 times scarier than you, and you're not going to intimidate me.
Did you come to meet my son?
The Night's Watch came to our keep.
Where?
Gilly?
North of the wall.
It was the first time I really understood Gilly as a wildling. That kind of real pride that you see in characters like Ygritte and Tormund.
7 kingdoms have waged war against these savages for centuries, and here I sit, hosting one in my hall, thanks to my son.
When you see Sam at the dinner table and he's trying to block everything out, that's the Sam that Randall knows. And when he takes Gilly back out and says we're leaving, that's the Sam that the viewers have come to know.
Get your things.
I don't have any things. What are you doing?
We belong together. All of us.
Sam was thinking that maybe it's better to be together sometimes. Even if you're not 100% safe, at least you're not safe together.
That's your father's sword. Won't he come for it?
He can bloody well try.
But this isn't what we agreed to. These aren't White Walkers. This isn't an army of the dead. This isn't our fight.
When this idea of taking Winterfell comes up, I know immediately that this is going to be a hard sell. It's hard to ask your people to go to a war you probably won't win when you just lost like 95% of your total population. And now suddenly we are a part of a much larger political picture.
The Boltons, the Karstarks, the Umbers, they know you're here. They know that more than half of you are women and children. After they finish with me, they'll come for you.
We're aware of Ramsay's numbers and how battle-hardened they are and how prepared they are for war, and we aren't. Our gang is a kind of ragtag group of ne'er-do-wells, certainly not a cohesive force by any means.
The Free Folk, they are more simple to talk about politics in Westeros with these southern twats. It doesn't help much. It's more like if somebody sacrificed their life for you, then you have something going on.
If it weren't for him, none of us would be here. All of you would be meat in the Night King's army, and I'd be a pile of charred bones just like Mance.
So I have to get down to the deep emotions and point out what Jon has done for us. He almost sacrificed his life for us in Hardhome, and now they killed him because he did that. And if he hadn't, we would all be dead.
In a sense, we kind of already know that we're going to be severely outnumbered. Probably don't have a chance. But the right thing has to be done.
No. Do I have to beg you? Do it. Do it.
The Hound's just left there on his own up in the mountains. And there might be a bit of shock because, you know, I thought he was dead. But then I'm sure there'll be a few that are going, I knew it! I knew it! You know, the Hound's quite hard to kill.
When I found you, I thought you'd been dead for days.
I was going to give you a proper burial and then you coughed. Nearly shit myself.
I'm like a leader of this sort of group of people who don't believe in violence anymore. So obviously I'm not going to last more than one episode, which...
There's a reason you're still here.
There's a reason I'm a big fucker and I'm tough to kill.
No reason. Gods aren't done with you yet.
My character, it's in there to highlight maybe some kind of change for the Hound.
The Hound's just been told so many times that there is a reason you're still alive. And he has been listening and he likes this Ray, but he's still looking for direction, I think.
Oh, there's plenty of pious sons of bitches who think they know the word of God or gods. I don't. I don't even know their real names.
That's the principle of what my character is. There's something greater than any of us. Whether it be God, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you know that you're not the top of the food chain. And have a little humility now and again.
I reckoned you were going to die by the time I loaded you on the wagon, but you didn't. What kept you going?
Hate. Just that one word, hate. But I don't think the Hound, he's full of hate as he was. I think Sandra Clegane is starting off with a little bit of peace, actually. I'm sure that could change like that, though. You know, especially if he hasn't had breakfast or something.
I was wrong, I admit it.
That changes nothing.
The Unsullied could mount a defense off the beachhead if the slavers'
No
forces...
more talking from you. Your talking gave us this.
I messed up because it didn't work. And the slavers' greed has gotten the best of them. I gave them some and they wanted it all.
It's like when you leave your kids at home and you're like, whatever you do, guys, don't have a party. And they're like, sure, Mum, whatever, we won't have a party, it's gonna be fine. And then you get back and lo and behold, the little shits had a party and ruined everything and just left it in a big old mess. So I return and there's a war happening, which doesn't leave Daenerys best pleased.
So you imagine yourself a decent person. You've massacred my family, kept me in a cell for years, stolen our lands. I'll remind you that our houses are at war.
He has the Lannister army, but he also knows that it can take a long time to break down that castle, and a lot of people are gonna die. As he says to Edmure,
the Blackfish is an old man. A good death is all he can hope for.
And there's nothing more that Jaime would love to do than to give him just that.
You have a child now, I've heard. A son I've never met. Born of a wife. That I haven't seen since our first night together. You should be with them both.
Based on his own experience, he knows that people have a weakness for, whoever they love and for their family.
You don't matter to me, Lord Edmure. Your son doesn't matter to me. Only Cersei. And if I have to slaughter every Tully who ever lived to get back to her, that's what I'll do.
If you can threaten that and make it believable, then you can achieve quite a lot.
I demand entry.
I know the way his mind works. I know how he likes to hurt people. Did it ever once occur to you that I might have some insight?
I think Jon's fault this year is he doesn't listen to Sansa.
She's probably had the worst time of any character on this show. And the fact that she'd been Ramsay's prisoner for God knows how long, and yet they won't listen to her, maybe because she's just seen as that young, little, incompetent sister that he'd always had, but she knows how the game works now.
It's because every time he tries to, she doesn't give him a real answer. Yes, you know him, what's your solution? She says, I don't know, but you should be doing this.
She wants what he wants, and he's formed this plan, and on paper it sounds great, but they don't have the numbers.
I always wanted to do a scene with Jon Snow, because in so many ways they're so similar, but the antithesis of each other. So it's really nice to get to sort of have the two bastards there together.
Run to your brother. The sooner you make it to him, the sooner you get to see him again. Ready? Go.
Ramsay's weapon all the way through is antagonizing people, drawing them into a trap. It's like a tunnel web spider or something, and Jon completely falls for it.
He's kind of thought, this guy's going to do something stupid and honourable because he's not going to be able to control himself. So I'll shoot his brother with an arrow. But he's waited until the perfect opportunity so that Jon Snow is within Archer's range, which will then make his army run forward and then bring them all into this perfect position where they can just all be slaughtered.
Jon isn't a great leader in that battle, and he can galvanize people to follow him. Tacticianly, he loses his temper and control.
I like the way that he's left as a sort of Napoleon-esque figure on the mountain with his generals, watching it all unfold.
Never really seen Jon give up on anyone or anything. And that was the difference in this battle. And the difference for me after coming back to life was, what if he just stops? What if the fatigue gets to him? And the first moment we found that was when the crush starts happening, and he just slows down, and he's lying on the ground, and it's that thing of finding peace for a moment. I could just stay here, I could let it all end. And then something drives him to fight up. And that moment where it comes up and he gasps for breath, he's reborn again in a way.
which I found weirdly reflected the moment of Dany being held aloft at the end of season 3.
It was actually a very good plan, I thought. We even had a plan for the giant Wun-Wun. Massive long pikes to poke him down. Yeah, but unfortunately the riders came in and ruined the party for Ramsay.
I think for her emotionally, it's a big thing just because this is the first time that she's actually been able to step up and do the dirty work herself.
Their army's gone.
Our army's gone.
We have Winterfell. They don't have the men for a siege. All we have to do is wait.
It's a funny thing, and it's something that we discussed a lot, of how Ramsay feels and does he think he's lost. He kind of knows he's buggered, but he's in Winterfell, so he's okay. We were toying with that idea of Hitler in his bunker in the last days and how you start losing sight of the actual reality because you've gone too far into it. And even when Jon Snow's beating the shit out of him, he's just smiling and just going, this is great.
I actually did punch Ewan in the face twice by accident, which he took really well. He was really nice about it. So I had to buy him a pint after that one.
That was good. Jaw hurt a bit the next day, but you know, it's understandable.
It's a horrible moment when you see your hero go a bit too far. The audience should feel, yes, Ramsay's getting what he deserves. He's still getting what he deserves. This is, okay, stop. Could you stop now? You go from hating the person that's being punched, and then something should slightly turn into, oh, this is my hero becoming a monster.
Our time together is about to come to an end.
It's amazing. It's Sansa's first kill. And it's just such a strong moment for her because all her life she's been affected by these men who have just done such terrible things to her. And she's always carried it with her, and this is the first moment that you actually hear her say,
"Your words will disappear. Your name will disappear. All memory of you will disappear."
I did ask for a dragon-related death. But it's fine, dogs is alright. But in terms of story, it's a really wonderful way to end, so that Sansa has the power.
We want the Iron Islands back, basically. That's all we want. We don't want the Seven Kingdoms, we just want what's rightfully ours.
This is the lovely thing about where Daenerys is now at. She gets to meet much more of her peers. She sees people who are in a similar place of power, who have been born into a strong family. But the simplicity of what the Greyjoys want is just that they want their land, and they want to be the new generation who's coming into rule. And that's something that Daenerys understands and loves.
And that's all. We'd like you to help us murder an uncle or two who don't think a woman's fit to rule.
Reasonable.
This is sort of like, if this doesn't work out, what are we going to do? I really can't undermine myself by being too anxious, but also the stakes are huge. And yet I think Daenerys and Yara quite like the cut of each other's jib.
There's like a little kind of like, oh, there's another badass chick in the place, okay.
Euron's offer is also an offer of marriage, you see. You won't get one without the other. And I imagine your offer is free of any marriage demands. I never demand, but I'm up for anything, really.
There's mild flirtation, which is exciting to say the least. I mean, get rid of Dario, bring on the ladies. Why not?
We're two strong women who've had very evil fathers, and I think we just want what's rightfully ours, and I think she respects that. And in return, we will respect what she wants and change our ways so that we can work together. It was a sort of an entente cordiale, if you like.
As the seasons go on and on, it's nice to still be a part of the show, as not many characters make it. Upon reading my storyline this year, I was really excited. It's something that we don't see, but when Arya arrives back in Westeros, she's out of touch with where people are. She's been out of touch for a really, really long time, but if there's one person on her list that she is 95% sure where they'll be, it's Walder Frey.
For House Frey!
She decides to go with the twins, and then in that scene that I'm dressed for now, so it's not Arya's usual look, when Arya kills Walder Frey, she thinks it's very important for him to know exactly who she is. My name is Arya Stark. I want you to know that. The last thing you're ever going to see is a Stark smiling down at you as you die. It's the most unexpected family. in Walder Frey's eyes that would come for him. He has done a lot wrong, but he's so confident that he's safe. And Walder Frey is such an evil, evil character. She doesn't need to explain why. He's fully aware of why she's doing it. Although Arya wouldn't know that her mother's throat was cut, she does the same deed, which, you know, for a story point of view, it's very, very cool. One thing we can take away from this series after watching Arya's storyline is that she's definitely back.
I'm having the Lord's Chamber prepared for you. You're the Lady of Winterfell. You deserve it.
You should take it.
I'm not a Stark. Thrones is really at the heart of it. About dysfunctional families.
There's always been tension between them because since they were little, Sansa has always looked up to her mother and always just taken on her mother's views of everything. And her mother really didn't like Jon because of the whole affair thing. Doesn't mean that they don't love each other, but it's just, you know, typical sibling tension.
We need to trust each other. We can't fight a war amongst ourselves. We have so many enemies now. I think Jon is oblivious. He hasn't actually learned his lesson from trying to pay attention to what she's feeling. He says he has, but he's asking her to trust him. He's not listening and watching and observing her. I think that could be a real problem for him.
I don't care if he's a bastard. Ned Stark's blood runs through his veins. He's my king, from this day until his last day.
Jon is the right man for the job. We all want a leader who's going to be decent and honourable. And I think he's definitely entitled to be running Winterfell, although Sansa might have a problem with that, I fear. Her relationship with Jon Snow, I think, is an indication of what's going to come. And I'm not sure it's going to be pretty.
The King in the North! The King in the North!
He's named King in the North and she kind of gets no credit for it. Jon doesn't acknowledge everything his sister has done for him after all that they've been through. And it's not that she's looking for praise or anything. She did it because she wants revenge and also because she wants her home back. But Jon, he's so naive. So Sansa's just a little bit agitated is all.
When you blow up a huge number of cast members in a single moment, you don't want it to be completely random. You know, it feels like it's got to be earned, and it feels like it's got to be something that belongs to the world.
At this point in the story, we try to introduce as few new elements as possible. You're trying to play with the pieces that we've got on the board, and of realizing that the wildfire was something that we had.
Going back to earlier seasons and going back to the books, we've known for quite some time that the Mad King had planted caches of wildfire throughout the city. And when Jaime is telling Brienne the story of the last moments of the Mad King, he tells her that the wildfire was planted below major boulevards, and he actually says below the Sept of Baelor.
I just couldn't have seen all of that. You know, I knew there was revenge to be had, obviously, from last year, but I'm still like, this is crazy.
I got a phone call from Dan and David, and they said, hey, dude. And that was enough. I knew right then and there.
It's like a slow burn. You basically start the sequence with a whole different bunch of people with a whole different bunch of expectations as they get ready for work one day, and they go to work, and then work becomes something completely different.
Each one of the images was very carefully designed to flow into the next image that followed it. It was such a powerful way into this scenario, one that really shies away from giving away what's going to happen.
Marjorie's carved a career out of being occasionally one step ahead and occasionally one step behind Cersei.
There's something wrong.
And the two ladies have battled quite evenly for this time. And what we obviously find out is that Marjorie's demise in being beaten was not her fault. It's down to the High Sparrow underestimating Cersei.
You have nothing to fear, Your Grace. The trial will begin shortly.
He's just become overconfident. What he's doing is in the forefront of his mind, and he doesn't really suspect that anyone's going to undermine him.
The ultimate dramatic moment in that sequence is when Marjorie turns to the High Sparrow. You end on a big close-up of Jonathan Pryce's face, who's so expressive and can say so many things with so little. And you can see just the second before the whole place blows up that he goes, oh, shit.
We have yet another awesome scene in the set filled with extras in a very grandiose, ceremonial situation. And for once, I'm not getting married. Let me through. Let me through.
We filled the set with 287 extras and a light source and these big kind of things, air movers they're called, that kind of do these gusts of air. And we would do a timing, we would go in 3, 2, 1, go! And then everybody fell back. So that was as close to exploding as we got, but a majority of it, 99% of it, will all be visual effects.
We get storyboards from the director, and then we go into previs and we work out cameras and animations. Then we have a good animatic version of that final shot, so we know first how to shoot it and B, what it's going to look like. Obviously, it looks like a video game, but we know what we're going for and how we want it to look at the end of the day.
We see it from the inside. When we come outside, we see the windows getting blown out, and then we see it, of course, from Cersei's and Tommen's POV.
It needed many iterations in previs to get the beats of it right, so that Dan and David felt like it was emotional enough, it was big, but also it didn't get so big that we lost our main characters in it.
We don't have an exterior set. It's always been a combination of found locations and CGI. So we knew that the exterior of blowing up the set would be something that would have to be completely generated by visual effects. We knew, however, we would want some elements.
Action! It's lit underneath. We made lighting trays underneath that had a UV LED strip system. And then the puddle itself is a high fluorescent pigment. When you're lighting from underneath, it's glowing already. Then with light from above as well, and you've got the additional, and that's what gives it that real high fluorescence.
It's like this pure enjoyment of wiping out all of them.
She has a plan. She executes that plan flawlessly, apart from one major wrinkle. The very person that she wanted to protect most in the world is lost as a direct result of her actions.
Show me.
What we were trying to do in the scene is to show that something dying inside her. The prophecy has come true. She's seen all of her children die. The thing that kept her going for so long is gone.
She's been through so much and she's so hardened that she's not even capable of mourning him. The next step is that she's going to take that throne.
Now you have this woman who, I don't know if it's crazed, I think it's just empty, which is probably more dangerous.
She finally gets her heart's desire, the Iron Throne. At the same time, she's lost almost everything that she cared about to get it. And there's that look between her and Jaime, which is enigmatic, and which hints at Season 7 drama to unfold. But she is, at the end of Season 6, colder and stronger, and Queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
Long may she reign.
Long may she reign.
It's tough, you know, it's like the Red Wedding. It's tough to say goodbye to a lot of actors that we've been working with for quite some time. Whether the ones that we've been with since Season 2, or, you know, Jonathan Pryce, who just came to us last year, but has become one of our favorite actors so quickly.
I hope it's not a waste that I've learned all 500 names of everybody I've worked with. It is a great, great production to be involved in.
I won't be able to say thank you to all of you, but I've had a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you. Thanks.
It's been very personal, which the best ones are, I think. So I'll miss Lancel. I'll miss him a lot.
Once you've been a part of the circus and the madness and the joy that is Thrones, you are always a member of the family. The rose has been uprooted.